Hey witches, Mr. Overon here with Mr. Overon's Tarot Reading Services, and today I'm going to talk about Ouija boards or spirit boards or other spiritual communication devices like that. There's so many different urban legends and folklore or whatever revolving around Ouija boards and their use. They are a slumber party, fun item to have to, give that spookiness or whatever else. So a lot of people have, this innate fear about utilizing them, when in all actuality, they are very useful tools if you know how to properly use them. So, I don't actually have one available for me to show you, but we all know what they look like. There's a yes and no, maybe, and goodbye on the board, and then there's the alphabet with numbers ranging between 0 and 9 on there, and you have this little planchette thing where you put your hands on it, and it's supposed to guide you to what the spirit or the ghost or whatever is wanting to communicate with you. Now, people have said that those open up doorways for demons to come through and all this other stuff, and yes and no. I mean, you are definitely opening up a communication with the spiritual world. Does it activate a portal or whatever? No. It does not physically open up a portal or a gateway or whatever for spirits or entities to come in and mess with things. Now, what it does do, however, is allows direct communication with a spirit or another entity or whatever you want to call it. We'll just call them spirits for now. Are they always demonic? No, they're not always demonic. Not everything is demonic. That is Zach Baggins, whatever the hell you want to call his last name, and the Ghost Hunter or Ghost Adventures. Everything that they come across is automatically demonic. It's never just a presence or a spirit who wants to come and talk to you, because without saying that it's demonic or satanic or this, that, and the other thing, that doesn't make for good TV, and that doesn't sell things, right? Well, there are other demons in the world that are not satanic in nature. There was a whole universe of religion and pantheons and all this other stuff before Christ. So, just to automatically say that a demon is satanic or from hell or whatever else, that's not a thing. Yes, we do have demons that are Christian based, but we also have Babylonian, we have Mayan, we have Aztecan, we have Japanese, we have African American. Every culture around the world has a deity system and a form of spirits that are demons or whatever else that live within their system. So just to say that something is completely satanic or whatever, that's just, no, that's giving Satanism too much credit. And I love Satanism, trust me. It was one of the things that I studied back in the day when I was really into learning all about black magic and things like that. And Satanism does have good aspects to it, and I know that that's kind of an oxymoron type of a situation, but Satanism does actually have some really good tenets to it and the ideas behind it. But you know, just automatically saying that a demon is satanic in nature, that's just false, and that's doing a disservice to the millions of years of spiritual evolution and spirit guides and what have you that have come before Christianity. So utilizing a spirit board or other kind of spiritual divination, you need to take into consideration that there are steps, rules, and things that you have to follow. You don't want to just go grab the board off of like the shelf at Walmart or whatever, rip the plastic off, set it down, and then start talking. No. Of course, if you do something like that, then you are kind of leaving yourself open to whatever happens to be around and being drawn to that energy. Now, I've talked about how in the past, like whenever you first start working with magic or whatever, that you send up like this light into the ethereal plane or the astral plane, and that it's kind of like a blue light special. Like every deity and spirit, be it low level or high level, is automatically drawn to you because you are a new player on the board. And so you have all these different energies and these entities surrounding you, wanting to like feed off of that energy. And this is going to be both good and bad spirits. And whatever you feed into is what you're going to get back. But when you're using a spirit board, that's like giving a telephone to them. So yeah, they're going to come through, they're going to feed off whatever energy that you are producing. Is that spirit actually the spirit of your great grandma from 1864? Probably not. But there is a way that you can specifically tune into that by lighting candles, utilizing crystals, putting up special wards, having pictures of your loved ones, whatever else. Now, whenever I utilize a spirit board or something like that, what I like to do is I like to take a censer or something that I can burn herbs and incense in, and I will set that on fire. And the incense that I use in there are usually incense that are good for psychic intuition, enhance your psychic abilities, are pleasing for spirits, herbs that will like banish negative spirits. So like rosemary, or I will burn sage, lavender, stuff like that. So then that way negative low-level spirits can't come in. And I will even sometimes take it a step further and put a circle of salt around the board or the device that I am using. So then that way only good spirits can come into there. And then also I cast a circle of protection, not only over myself, but over the board itself. And if you're familiar with the cone of power or sacred space or any of that other stuff within the Wiccan aspect of things, where you create a sacred space and a positive shield around yourself, and you say something like only good may come in, no negativity or evil is allowed in this sacred space, you know, whatever, however you phrase it or what have you, that's what you're doing. You're creating a sacred space where only those types of energies that you are specifically looking for will come in and speak to you. Now, getting into higher magics and stuff like that, there are ways that you can bind spirits directly to your item. And I'm not going to get into that because that's a whole nother thing. But, you know, you can dedicate your spiritual board to like your guardian angel or your spirit guide or whatever you want to call it. If you work with something like a pendulum, pendulums work on a frequency of energy. So whatever energy happens to be in the area is what is going to affect it. So this is my pendulum. I've had this thing for years, and it has its own energy, and it picks up on things really, really quickly. It's one of the pendulum. I've had other pendulums in my life, and this is one that I like place my whole faith into just because of how scary accurate it works for me. But do I believe that the spirit that is associated, or that I have associated to this, is the actual spirit that I'm working with? Not always. Um, there are times where I know just by the way that it's moving and the way that it's bouncing and just the feeling that I have that it's not the spirit that I usually utilize, or that it's my spirit guide that is connected to it. Um, when I use pendulums, I don't ever put up any kind of barrier or burn any of the incense, like I said prior, because I personally don't feel like my pendulum needs it. It's just something that I grab and I utilize as a tool really quickly to get yes, no, maybe answers from. And, but you always want to take caution when using spiritual devices. One, do not look down your nose at it. You are actually tapping into spirits that are around you. When you start moving the planchette and you're putting all your energy into it and you say, is there anyone here that would like to talk to us? That is literally turning the microphone on and setting it to the side and allowing whoever's there to speak to you. Now, when you've gone through the proper channels of setting everything up and putting things together like you need them put together, and you are burning your candles, you have your crystals, you have your herbs going, whatever, and you focus your intent on, I want to talk to my grandmother, and then you call out to that person, the calling that you do is a form of invocation. So you want to keep that in mind also. You're not just going to be like, oh, I'm calling my grandmother, grandma, are you here, or whatever. Actually take a moment to create an invocation to call upon that spirit. And it sounds like a whole lot of extra steps, but they're steps that are guaranteed to work. When you just put it out there for whatever spirit is just going to pop into it. But if you like say, I'm calling upon my grandmother so and so, I summon and stir you from your place of slumber, please come forth and speak to me this night. And then you put your energy into it or whatever, and 9 times out of 10, you're actually going to connect with the spirit that you're looking for. Now, if you just want to play around and talk to whatever spirit, that's up to you. But there's a whole ritual that you need to undertake for that also. If you want to talk to just any spirit, don't put the salt around it. But remember that you are opening, in a sense, you're opening a door, and if you don't properly close it, that's where you kind of leave things open. So one thing that I like to do is I like to focus on the board before I ever start using it, and I will draw like the symbol for like wider signs to like bring things into it and to allow it to open up, and I will visualize things opening up, and then do the reading or like get whatever information will come from it. And then before I pack it up, I go through a closing ceremony where I close the board and I shut everything down. And just like you would do with a cone of power or raising a shield and lowering a shield, you want to do that with your spiritual instrument. You open it up and you close it. And I think a lot of times what people are referring to, like, oh, I played around with a Ouija board and it opened a doorway for demons to come through. No, it just kind of kept the microphone turned on. You could burn the freaking board, but you still have the microphone turned on. Everyone is still able to talk. Everyone's still there chatting away. It's not until you go through the ritual of closing the door, of saying goodbye, banishing the spirits, whatever you want to call it, that things are shut off. And you may have some lingering energies for a couple of days. On the off chance that a demon or demonic spirit comes forth and doesn't leave, if you close everything down and you go through the proper channels and utilize everything like a ritual, you're going to have a little bit easier of a time getting rid of those spirits who have like kind of hung around. But again, this is where your herbs and your candles and like taking the steps, the precautionary steps. So, you know, you got to do everything correctly. So I hope that this has helped, like, get with the stigma of like utilizing Ouija boards or pendulums or whatever as a spiritual tool. Yes, you can kind of inadvertently bring about bad things. Are they always going to be satanic? No. Are they always going to be demonic? No. It could just be a spirit that has yet to laid to rest, or something that's trapped in limbo. You could be interacting with lower level beings, but you know, if you take the proper procedures, the proper caution, and treat it like a ritual versus a board game that you purchased and you get together and just play it with friends, then you are going to be safer in doing so. But as a witch, wizard, whatever you want to call yourself, as a practitioner of magic, you need to be adept in spiritual communications, and it's a great tool to utilize, but do so respectfully and within the proper parameters, and you should be good to go. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please put them in the comment section down below. If you have an idea for a video that you would want me to do, or you have a topic that you'd like for me to cover, please let me know in the comment section down below, or you can shoot me an email, mroveron@gmail.com. If you would like a tarot reading or other spiritual advisory, send me an email, or you can head over to the website, mroveron.com. And until next time, I will talk to you then. Bye, witches.